Do you realize that the UK's ruling Conservative Party has more Muslim MPs than India's ruling BJP? No? Well, I didn't either. Actually, if you think about it, even in the US, the Democratic Party in Congress has more legislative representatives than the BJP does of the Muslim faith. So what conclusions do we come to that? Do we decide that England is much more diverse than India? Or do we think that India is diverse but not so diverse at the moment? Honestly, I don't know. But these are conclusions I came to when I was looking at the race to become Prime Minister in the UK. As you know, once Boris Johnson was forced out of office, various people stepped forward to take his place. Now, in the old days, the Conservative Party, which is traditionally the party of the British rich, of the British upper classes, would have had a certain kind of person being the obvious candidate. Boris Johnson, the current Prime Minister actually, is an old Etonian. One of his predecessors, David Cameron, was also an old Etonian. It's a party full of sort of Eton, Oxbridge kind of upper class people. And yet, if you look at the kind of people who've been standing for election, you'd be surprised. For a start, there are many people of Asian origin. And these people were there in Boris Johnson's cabinet as well. There's Rishi Sunak, who's a Punjabi. There's Priti Patel, who's a Gujarati. There's Sajid Javed, who's a Punjabi. And I could go on and on. Suella Braverman is part Goan. Her father's surname was Fernandez. There are just so many people of Indian origin. And there are others too. There's a person of Iraqi origin. There's a person of Nigerian origin. And it surprises you, it certainly surprised me, how diverse the UK has become. Now, it surprises us because we think of the UK still as being racist, as being white-dominated, as being the kind of country that still prides itself on being, white and in charge. We say, with so many different religions, so many different castes, so many different creeds. We're a diverse country. But are we? I'm beginning to wonder, when you look at the experience of the UK and you see the kinds of people who've stood for election, you wonder about their backgrounds. Let's take the case of Rishi Sunak, who as of this writing and as this speaking is the frontrunner. I don't think he'll necessarily be frontrunner all the time, but he is certainly frontrunner at the moment. His family are Punjabis. They came from East Africa. He's done a campaign video in which he's explained that his mother came here when she was very young, came to the UK, that means, when she was very young, worked very hard, brought her family over. One of them was Sunak's mother, who married a doctor. They both saved as much as they could, and they managed to send Rishi to a good school, sent him to university, as Indian parents tend to, and he reached where he has. Priti Patel's parents used to run a convenience store in Kampala in East Africa. They came to the UK. They ran a newsagent store. Their daughter was not a high flyer. She went to the local comprehensive. She didn't go to Oxford or Cambridge. But despite that, she's made it. Sajid Javed is the son of a bus driver. Still, he's made it. Sadiq Khan, who's the mayor of London, is also the son of a Punjabi bus driver. It shows you, in a sense, how much England gives opportunity to people who've come from abroad, people who are outside the conventional upper classes or outside the conventional pool of talent from which politicians have always been chosen. Is it the same in India? Regrettably, I don't think it is. I think we are much more restrictive, much more keen on drawing people from within a certain pool of talent. First of all, to get somewhere in Indian politics, it helps to have a family connection. So many Indian political parties, as the Prime Minister never tires of pointing out, are family parties. Unless you have the right surname, you can't get anywhere. And then there's the problem of identity politics. So much of Indian politics is about religion. So much is about caste. So much is about region. It's about ethnicity. In the process, people with talent from outside rarely get a look in because merit has ceased to matter as much as it should. It's other factors, identity, birth, that seem to make the difference. Now, I argue, and I think you'd have to agree, that India is the loser because unless we recognize merit, Unless we take politicians who are the best at what they do and we get them where they are because of their innate talents or their brilliance, India will lose out. And you could, I think, make a reasonable case for saying that India is already losing out. We don't have the top people in politics. Many educated people, many decent people don't want to join politics. And even when they want to, they don't get very far because it's become the politics of identity and the politics of family. In a way, this is sad because when you talk about Indians who've made it abroad, you don't usually think of politics, right? You look at people who are tech whiz kids, you look at people who are millionaires, and you say, look, Indians made so much money, or they went to head Google, they went on to head Twitter, etc. What we don't realize is that's true of politics now as well. People who would have made very good politicians in India are no longer in India. They're succeeding in other countries where their talent and their merit is being recognized. Let's take Rishi Sunak. If he was in India, he's not from a political family, what would he have become? My guess is the highest he could have aspired to was becoming chief economic advisor to the finance ministry. That's about all we have for people like him. In the UK, he's in the running to become prime minister with no advantage of birth, with no advantage of ethnicity. That's one of the things that's wrong with Indian politics. And yes, I think it's right to pride ourselves on our diversity. It's a good thing that India is held together, though it is so diverse. It is true that we had a female prime minister before the UK. It is true that we've had Muslim presidents. We've had a Sikh prime minister. So all of it is not bad. But look at what's happening to us now. At a time when the world is opening up, when it's getting wider and more diverse, when merit is beginning to count for more and more, we are becoming a society that is closing its doors, that's becoming narrower in its selection process, that's looking still at religion, that's looking still at family background. Isn't it clear that we're losing out? Don't you agree? If not, just look around. Look at India's politicians and tell me if you can look me in the face and say, we have the best politicians from the best that India has to offer.